Bottom. Ah, welcome back. Oh my gosh, here we go. Adventure one begins. It seems here there's something about navigating to the library detail from the library list page, and we'll explore that together. So here is what we know about the first adventure. The delivery team has published an updated UI for this particular page, and we'll visit that in a minute. The next three adventures, in fact, will be to help update related tests to the improvements the team has made. We can see here the old version and kind of how that page was laid out. And we can see the new version and some of the changes that have made their way into the page. What we'd like to do is restore the testing framework's ability to navigate from the list selection page to a particular library's detail. This was working right up until those UI changes were deployed. So that should be a little hint, something kind of help us uh, anchor our thinking and our research. All right, we haven't pulled the project yet, so let's work on doing that together. We're going to find the project source code out here on GitHub. And if you're needing a refresher or not as familiar perhaps with working with GitHub, GitHub is going to serve as our source control repository. You could imagine some of the hardships of trying to share lots of files with many people, or even have a really solid backup with a good ledger of the changes you've made and an opportunity to move backwards and forwards through time in your efforts to restore and review those changes. So what we need to do is we're going to come to this big green code button. We're going to grab this cloneable URL. We're going to use this to check out or clone the project. And I enjoy just using Visual Studio Code. For me, it has become a wonderful, lightweight, fast IDE that will support almost any language or whatever I'm up to. Some of you might be using Visual Studio proper, and that is supported, and you'll find the SLN files and hopefully be able to adjust the things I'm going to show you. They should be very similar and quite easy to do. I have an empty folder here, and what I'm going to do is git clone, and I'm going to paste that URL. What that's done is it has taken my hard drive and this little space in this folder on my hard drive, and it's made it match the main copy of our project code out on GitHub. At some point, we'll probably explore branches and branching and what that's about, or perhaps you and I made some updates to main and we want to go back to the last revision. Simply pulling that down here and working with GitHub, it will update all of these files and make them resemble that moment. Right? So you'll only ever have one copy of your project, basically. I mean, you could certainly clone into multiple folders in your hard drive, but let's just imagine you have one copy of the project on your hard drive, and every time you decide to pull or create or work from a different branch, or you want to pull a different commit, go back into some of that historical archive, then this same one folder will just get updated with all of the files to make that happen. And now that we're here, I know we're going to go into this Fenway UI test. That's going to be where most of our focus is. And there's a README file here that I'm going to want to work through. Let's double check our program notes, work through the README until you've run the following two files successfully. All right, that's the folder we're looking at. And a little bit of an update. There should be some failed tests, but all in all, the tests themselves should run, even if they're throwing failures. First, I want to make sure I'm ready to work with, right? So there's a bit of a presumption here that you have already installed the .NET 7 or greater SDK. .NET 8 has not been released as of this recording. We'll likely move right into .NET 8 the minute that becomes available. But as long as you have the .NET 7 SDK installed on your machine, and you're pretty well ready to go with any generalized .NET development. If you haven't done that, pause the video, do a quick little bit of Googling, and go ahead and get the .NET 7 SDK installed on your computer, and that'll allow you to work with these .NET 7 projects. Back to the README. First thing up, now that I have at least that much .NET installed, I'm going to go ahead and run .NET tool install. It's telling me that is already installed. Now, running Playwright install on the actual project, I'm going to need to navigate my terminal to the project. And then I can run this Playwright install, which will make sure that this particular project and folder and everything is ready to go. It says you haven't built this project before, and so I'm having a hard time, so let me do this .NET build. And then I'm just going to press the up arrow key on my keyboard to scroll back in the terminal list to that Playwright install command. All right, Playwright install looks happy. And we do use these LivingDocs as part of our efforts, so let's go ahead and make sure that we have that plugin ready to go. And we can see that it is already aware of that plugin on my machine. All right, and here we are. The two statements, these reflect what we saw over here in the instructions. And of these two statements, we can see I just created some batch files here, and we'll explore doing it without the batch file. At the end of the day, we're just going to run .NET test. I'm going to say test. You'll ultimately see lots of browsers opening on your screen and those tests stimulating and executing within each browser in their own independent efforts to navigate your UI, whatever it might be. And we're going to explore together. There's a lovely language for doing this and a few simple set of patterns. Yes, yes, all right, all right. We begin. So here we have a series of feature level test measures, right, that have run in past. And within each of those features, as we'll explore together, there are lots of different tests running and steps within those tests. All right, I'm very excited. See where we are in our program. Ah, now to run the reports batch file. Again, you're certainly welcome to type those out, and we will at some point, a little bit, just to make sure we're comfortable. So that feature report ran against our test results, and we can kind of see in here what's working and what isn't. There's a wonderful sort of way to navigate and visually see what's going on in our tests, and we can see within any given test, there may be multiple iterations. We'll take a look at that. So one test being fed lots of different data, and we see it's unhappy with these three, and this one was happy, right? So this same test got ran 4 times with different data provided to it. And we'll take a look at how to do that together. Super cool, super cool. We could go over here to analytics, and again, we should see some number of tests pass, some number of tests failed, hopefully way more passed than failed. And we are off to the races. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so glad you're here to help us fix all of this. One of the requirements for our team to go to production and release this to our client is that we have good front-end UI test coverage and that they are passing. So thank you for helping us to make that come true. The dev team is working hard to get this thing out the door, and you are a critical part of their success. In the program, let's see. All right, so we're comparing something comparable. These at the time of these recordings, these numbers may change a little, and there might be some hidden things in there that can cause flakiness, which is a concept we'll explore together, where tests seem to run fine, but if you ran them 10 or 20 or 30 times, there'd be a test or two that for some reason throws a false positive or false negative, and you'll want to work those out. Those are called flaky tests. Super cool. We are here. You've pulled the project. You can now run it locally. You can begin to explore it depending on your curiosity and capabilities. And we're going to move forward together, making it awesome. Ah, super cool. So let's take a break there and celebrate. It's important to celebrate these moments so we can develop good habits of setting and meeting goals and taking a moment to reflect on improvement. A little celebration. High five, self. Grab some water, and we'll be back right after this to keep working through Adventure 1. Dun, dun, dun. Cheers.